I can't imagine that you are mean, because I always say don't mistake my kindness for weakness, and
Yes.
I want everything to be calm and beautiful on the wedding day, and every vendor I love, because we're nothing without our vendors, but I'm like Margaret Thatcher. I'm going to rule with an iron fist, and I'm sure you're the same.
But you have to be stern, because if you're the one recommending these vendors for the client,
yeah,
you're pretty much responsible for them.
Yes.
You know, Charlie? And like I said, you know, I'm very lucky to be working with great budgets, you know, amazing budgets, but amazing budgets comes with a higher standard too.
Now explain that to
the
people.
Expectations is very different. You know, for one thing, when it comes to the luxury market, you have to be more creative than what they can think, for sure.
Yeah.
You have to give the client something that they have not seen before, because these people that I know, they'll fly around the world for the weekend, you know, just for fun. They'll go to weddings and parties in Morocco, and next week they're in Sydney, around the world here and there. So it's a different mindset. And if you can't come up with something that they can't be impressed with, then you're out.
Yeah.
And sometimes they just want the most simple thing, but you know, sometimes simplicity is even harder to come up with.
Yes.
But it's a level of the details that I think everybody wants.
So here's something that I learned from Sean Lowe, the amazing Sean Lowe. And
yes.
I have said this on Clubhouse, so apologize if people have heard this before. But Sean Lowe is he has a company called The Business of Being Creative. And he's like a business coach to me.
Right.
And he said to me, when you're designing for these clientele, you want to give them the birds. And what that means is, you know, they want the sky, and you can give them the sky. The sky's the limit. But you want to draw the birds above the sky when you're doing their design, because they didn't know they could have the birds. So you want to be able to give that clientele the birds that they didn't know that they could have.
Yes. No, it's true, though, because if you can't think and you cannot dream above for them, then they're just going to feel like you're like everybody else. You know, why would you consider yourself luxury if you cannot wow people? Yeah. Especially at that level, when they've seen it, they've been there, they've had private fashion shows, you know, they had people, you know, Louis, Dior, fly them to their private showroom where they shut down the showroom for them. That's a level of life that I will probably never experience, or you. But those are the type of people where when they see something, either they love it or they don't. There's nothing in between. And if you can't impress them when you first open your mouth, there's really nothing there that you can redeem yourself.
No, exactly. Do you find that when you have your clientele that are $1 million and over, or do you find that they trust you more? So I found with the higher, you know, it's I can design a wedding, and they don't necessarily need to see it. They just trust that on the day it's going to be amazing. That happened to me one time, and I was super nervous because I thought, what if they don't like it? But then they hired you because they trust you, and I love that.
I think what really sets me apart and what I can do differently is that from my scientific background, I can walk into a room and know exactly how I want it to look, what I want to do, without having to go home and overthink it. You know, I can rattle off info, I can rattle off design ideas at the top of my head. I can walk and talk at the same time. And I feel like the clients just feel like, wow, okay, you really know what you're doing. You can bring in this person, you can do this, you can do that, without hesitating your ideas. And that's the level of creativity that you have to learn how to work with, and how to dream above. And it's not just the flowers on the table. You know, what can you do to create that wow factor so that when you walk into a room, all your guests are transported, you know, mentally, physically, to a different world for the next couple hours. And that's a level of achievement that I work on really hard, because all my events are about sensory overload. Like I said the other night, it's about taste, touch, feel, you know, et cetera, you know, so you spend a lot of time thinking about all the little details that makes it that world ambience that you can feel like, oh, wow, I can let my problems disappear for the next hour and just really be immersed in that room or wherever you are.
Yeah. It's having people leave the wedding feeling like they have never experienced anything like that in their entire life, and they may never again. That's the way that we want guests when they leave a wedding. And I take that as well with all my levels of wedding. You know, no matter what couple I have taken on, this same mindset that you and I have, I give that to every person, no matter what it is. There's always some level that you can give the birds to somebody, no matter what their budget. I always feel that.
Yes,
you know?
and I teach my team this, that, you know, when you're looking at a table, you're not just looking at the flowers. To me, it's the 15 items that I worry about on the table.
Tell me your items.
Well, the chairs can never be pushed in too far into the linen. They can barely, to me, they're barely touched. They're like a kiss on the cheek.
I love that.
You know that? And then when you walk into a room, if the chair has a little nick, we always move it to the back of the room. Because the first items you see, you know, me and you, I worry about the little details. You know, I look at about the littlest thing, and that would just throw it off. Because if a room is not photo camera ready, then you've lost your $1 million shot, because that's what sells us. It's the decor. The perfect still room is what sells us. And if something's off, it's gone. You know, you just lost that opportunity to really showcase your work.
A wrinkle in the linen.
A wrinkle in the linen. Never salt and pepper on the table. I detest those things.
Thank you. Thank you, Lord.
I detest salt and pepper. I detest sugar packets.
No.
Oh, no.
B&B plates.
Yeah. To me, it's about the texture. Texture in the paper, texture in the linens, texture in the napkins. I don't like to ever use the same texture every which way.
Yes.
You know, just the color, just the variation of how you put things together is what makes it. And I like layering plates too. I don't like just the charger plates. The layer plates, the details of the paper, you know, whether it's a 3D, or 2D or one-sided, but it still has to have some wow factor, and everything needs to be tied in cohesively.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, Charlie.
Yeah.
And if a centerpiece is somewhat off, you know, we'll fix that.
I go around and check the flowers, make sure there's no dead flowers, no dead leaves. I also have an issue with table numbers. I know we need them, but I don't want a table number in a photograph. So the photographer that I hire.
To me, table number is an accent piece. It should never be bigger than a 4x6.
Yeah.
You know, 3x5 is even perfect for me, but I hate those big frames at 8x10. I said, okay, you spent $1,000 on a centerpiece, and yet you have this big frame that's covering it. What's the use? You know, to me, it's an accent piece that should never be a showpiece. Yeah,
exactly. No, I agree with you on that. Yeah.
You know, we also bring in, we also measure, you know, from the charger plate to the edge of the table. So I bring a little ruler, so we measure, you know, to make sure it's all the same length, especially on a long table. That's my pet peeve. If one chair is even off by a centimeter, a millimeter, it just annoys me. You know, and Jacob, who works for me, is very good with those details, you know. So he will do a lot of those things. So at most every event, I will either handle the ceremony or the reception, and then we trade places. So I know that he will be in charge of the carpeting of the room, the lighting, the little things here and there. So that to me is important, to have someone else that has your same interest and has the same detail.
Yes.
Because
are you a napkin Nazi? I'm a napkin Nazi.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Yes, the napkins is very important. Just to me, it's everything. You know, it's just everything to me that, you know, the lighting has to be perfect. Yes. Because it's not just for me; it's also for the video and photographer. because they need the perfect ambiance too.
I think lighting is everything. And because
it is everything.
My background is theater. So of course, you know, you have rubbish lighting, you know, that ruins everything. You know, you're going to go to a Broadway show, you want to see everyone's lit beautifully, everybody looks lovely because they're lit gorgeously. You want the photographer to go, oh my God, this lighting is amazing. You know, but some, not in the higher, you know, levels of weddings, you know, they get it, but sometimes, you know, well, when I'm talking to a client, if they don't get lighting, I know they're not my client. That's how I can tell.
Yes.
How about yourself? What is your one thing that that you know that client is for you? What, when they say something or they don't say something, do you have a one thing? Like mine is lighting.
Ambiance.
Yeah.
Which is lighting, which is the same as lighting. Yeah. But to me, the ambiance and then building the environment is more important than just the floral, because everybody thinks about florals, but this is what I tell all my clients. Your photos and videos are only as good as the designer you hired for them to capture.
Yes.
If your room doesn't have anything for them to work on, then you'll have boring photos. You know?
Mm-hmm.
But if you spend the time designing, hiring the right people who understands the multitude of layers of an event, then you'll give them plenty of things to work on, and that's what they'll be excited to work for. Yeah.
True. Do you measure the knives and forks as well, and how far away they are from the glass? Do you go that far? And do you leave?
Sometimes we do. Sometimes we do. It all depends on how much time we have.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I mean, I wish I had 4 days to set up a room. Then, you know, we have to do whatever. But when we have the time, generally we always set up the day before or 2 days before, no matter what, where we're working on. But yeah, we do. We're very anal. Good thing I have a team that knows what I expect from them through the years.
Yeah.
So that really works because they value the brand, that they know what's important to me, and because I can't be there. So they work really hard to make sure, especially my cousin Nicole, who works for me as, you know,
they get it
as a logistics person, because when I'm not happy, I'm not happy. And she knows that because we grew up together, but you know,
well, it's a reflection of you.
I'm the royal bitch in the family, and my family knows that.
Thomas,
you know?
I didn't know that about you.
Oh yeah. But
that's one thing I'm sure you're not like that on the wedding day. Definitely not in front of everybody. But I do hear horrible things about planners not being very nice on the wedding day, and I don't like that. I don't. This is a complex that planners have, and they think that they're God on the wedding day, and I don't like that. We're a team, and sometimes when I do a wedding and I haven't worked with a vendor before, they'll go, "Oh my God, you're so nice. I don't understand." I'm like, "Isn't everybody?" I don't get it.
I'm the same person. I'm the same person as if you party with me, work with me. I'm the same person. I'm no different.
We except just have a level.
Yeah, except on the wedding day, you know, of course there's that extra level of stress that you have to worry about. But at the end of it, I am just the same shy person. I don't like to be the center of attention. But you have to remember, I grew up with a silver spoon going to a plastic spoon. Remember, Charlie?
That's what we were talking about at the beginning.
Yes,
Jason,
you know?
with your lifestyle. Sorry, I just saw, hello, lovely Jason Rawls. He just said there's no I in team. Exactly, there's no I in team.
No.
We are a teamwork. But see, I think that's where that sets you apart, because you lived an extremely lavish lifestyle when you were a kid growing up. You know, your family gave these amazing parties. You had this exquisite lifestyle, and then all of a sudden it was taken away from you.
Yeah, you go from, you know, silver spoon to a plastic spoon.
Yeah. But you've lived that life. Because do you think that if a client is going to hire you to be in charge of their multi-million-dollar wedding, that they want to know that you're going to fit their lifestyle, that you're going to understand their lifestyle? Because it's very different to our usual lifestyle.
It is very